His hand lingered on mine longer than it should have. It wasn't a friendly brush. It wasn't an accident. It was deliberate. And in that single heated touch, something inside me burned alive, something I had kept buried for years. I remember staring at him that evening across the dim glow of the restaurant table. His eyes pinned me down, not in a way that asked for permission, but in a way that dared me to deny what I was already feeling. My throat went dry, and my pulse betrayed me, thundering against the cage of my chest. He smiled faintly, knowing exactly the effect he had on me. And for the first time in a very long time, I let myself slip. Yes. I slipped. Before I go deeper into this story, let me pause here. If you're listening to me right now, don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe to this channel, because what I'm about to confess is not something you hear every day. This is my life, my secret, my burning truth. It all began on an ordinary Tuesday evening. At least, that's what it looked like from the outside. I had left the house pretending to run errands, but my heart knew better. My marriage had grown cold. The man I shared my vows with years ago had long stopped noticing me. My laughter had become invisible in my own home. And then came him. He wasn't supposed to matter. He wasn't supposed to be more than a polite smile, a passing conversation. Yet here I was, sitting across from him, his hand clasping mine like it belonged there all along. The air between us grew thick, like honey slow dripping from a spoon. Sweet, heavy, impossible to ignore. Do you ever wonder what it would feel like, if you just let go? He whispered, his thumb grazing the inside of my wrist. I should have pulled away. I should have remembered who I was, where I came from, the ring on my finger. But instead, I leaned in closer. The waiter's footsteps broke the tension, but the fire had already been lit. A fire I couldn't put out, no matter how hard I tried. That night, when I got home, I stood in front of my mirror for a long time. I looked at myself, not as a wife, not as a mother, not as someone living a carefully constructed life, but as a woman. A woman who still wanted. A woman who still burned. And in his hand, that night, I realized, I was ready to burn my truth. Backhand index pointing right, stay with me. This is only the beginning. But before I take you deeper, hit that subscribe button, like this story, and share it. Because what happened next changed everything I thought I knew about myself. I remember the first time his hand really touched me, not just a casual brush, not just a polite graze that could be excused as an accident, but a hand that claimed. It was in his office, the blinds half closed, the clock ticking louder than my heartbeat. I had come there under the guise of helping him with paperwork, but we both knew there was nothing professional about the fire in his eyes. When his hand slid over mine and stayed there, should have pulled away. Instead, I let it linger. I let his fingers trace mine as though they were learning a secret language. That was the beginning of my burning. Fire, before I go deeper, let me pause right here. If you're listening, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs to feel this heat, and subscribe for more true confessions of forbidden passion, fire. Back then, I thought it was harmless. A little warmth. A little comfort. Something my marriage had been missing. But his touch didn't soothe me. It consumed me. It made me restless at night, tossing between my sheets, replaying every second of that afternoon. When he finally pulled me close, whispering that he couldn't hold back anymore, I felt something I had never admitted out loud. I didn't want him to hold back. That kiss, God, that kiss. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't shy. It was rough, insistent, like a spark striking against gasoline. His lips pressed against mine, his hand gripping the back of my neck, and I melted like wax in a flame. And that was the danger. Because once you've tasted the fire, you can't go back to cold. I didn't expect his hand to still haunt me long after it left my skin. The way his touch lingered, like heat trapped inside me. Every time I lay next to my husband, I thought of him. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. More secrets like mine need a safe place, and maybe you'll see yourself reflected in my story. That night when I let myself burn in his hand, something inside me broke free. I was no longer the careful, quiet woman I had been for years. I was reckless. I was daring. I was alive. The next time we met, he didn't ask permission. He pulled me into his chest, kissed me with that hunger that strips away sanity. His lips tasted of danger, of something forbidden but too sweet to resist. And I didn't resist. I let his hand find me again, let him stroke me until I trembled, until I moaned into his neck like I was possessed. In that moment, I knew, I wasn't just cheating on my husband. I was cheating on myself. On the woman I had promised I would be. But I didn't stop. I couldn't. Because in his hand, I wasn't a wife. I wasn't a mother. I wasn't someone's property. I was just me. A woman aching, alive, undone. Share this story if you feel the fire I'm confessing right now, I whispered, as though speaking to you, to the ones listening. And don't forget to subscribe, because the fire doesn't stop here. The burning had only just begun. His hand didn't just hold me anymore, it consumed me. Every brush of his fingers was fire, every grip was a burn I craved and feared at the same time. I used to think infidelity was just about stolen moments, but with him, it was about surrendering pieces of myself I couldn't get back. Tell me you're mine, he whispered one night, his palm pressing against the small of my back as if he could brand me. I couldn't say it. I couldn't admit that in his hand, I burned, while my husband slept peacefully at home, trusting me. Guilt and desire danced in my veins like poison. In the daylight, I tried to mask it with normal smiles, polite dinners, and shallow conversations. But the truth was written on my body. The red marks on my skin were reminders, not just of passion, but of betrayal etched deeper than I ever intended. Somewhere in the middle of that ache, I remembered, if you're listening right now, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Because stories like mine, they're not just confessions, they're warnings. He was both my punishment and my escape. The more I tried to let go, the tighter he gripped, and the deeper the fire spread. I was living two lives, but both of them felt like they were falling apart in his hands. By the time I realized I wasn't just cheating on my husband but cheating myself out of peace, it was too late. His hand had become my home, even though it scorched me every night. And yet, I kept returning. Because sometimes, destruction feels more honest than safety. I still remember that night like it was carved into my skin, like the heat of his hand had left a permanent scar of fire inside me. His hand on my waist, his lips on my neck, his breath filling me with guilt and desire all at once. I burned in his hand, not with pain, but with a hunger I could no longer control. If you're new here, please subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it with someone who dares to believe love and lust can destroy us the same way they save us. By now, my story has taken me too far from innocence, too far from the vows I once promised. Yet, every time I tell it, I feel like I am peeling away layers of secrecy, confessing without being caught. My husband never found out, and maybe he never will. That's the strange blessing and curse of being me, of living in shadows while pretending in the light. That last night with him, the man who made me burn, wasn't like the others. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't stolen in some cheap hotel room or the backseat of his car. It was deliberate. Like we both knew we were crossing from lust into something more dangerous. He looked at me with those eyes, hungry, desperate, knowing I was the forbidden fruit he would always taste even if it destroyed him. And when his hand touched mine, when his lips brushed my shoulder, I melted. My lies dissolved. My excuses faded. There was only fire. I burned. I burned in his hand. I burned in his body. And I burned in my own guilt. Halfway through that night, between kisses that stole my breath and touches that made me cry out, I wanted to stop, but I couldn't. My heart screamed no, but my body whispered more. And that is why I'm telling you this, so you know that infidelity isn't always planned. Sometimes it's a moment. Sometimes it's a touch. And sometimes, it's a fire you don't want to put out. By morning, I looked at myself in the mirror. I didn't see a wife anymore. I didn't see the woman I used to be. I saw someone else entirely, someone who had stepped into her own destruction and found a strange, intoxicating freedom there. I burned. And part of me still burns. So if you've stayed with me this far, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this story. Because what I lived wasn't just betrayal, it was survival, it was hunger, and it was a flame I will never forget. This is me, Anonymous, confessing. I'll admit it, every time his hand held me, I burned. Not from guilt, not from fear, but from a fire I couldn't put out. He wasn't supposed to be mine, yet his touch made me feel alive in ways I never thought possible. Even now, my body still remembers, my heart still trembles. But darling, that's the secret I carry, because some burns never heal, and some desires never fade. Sparkles, if this story set your heart racing, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more true confessions of love, lust, and betrayal. Hit that like button, share this with someone who knows what passion feels like, and join me again for another story that will keep you hooked till the very last breath. Because in his hand, I burned, and in my memory, he still lives.